Okay, so for number 31 to 33, classify each quadrilateral. So look at this one. So they give you a shape, right? And they say these four are congruent. Why? How I know that? Because I look at the answer key and they tell you that, right? These two congruents. And this is giving you one hint is that this one is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, so what I know is that it's a square because look, so you have your chart out, right? You have four options. You have a no, you don't have four options, sorry. You have three options, whether it's a rhombus, a square, or a rectangle. So look, a rhombus, they don't have these two congruents, like all four congruents. They only have these two congruents and these two are congruents, but they are not all four congruents, right? And that's why rhombus is canceled out, because it also gives you a 90 degree right here, but these four aren't congruent. So rectangle, they have all four congruents, just like the shape they give you. But one thing is that the little vertex here is not equal to 90 degrees, so which rectangle is out. And look at this square. So these, all four of these is congruent. And they give you a 90 degree right here, which it means square. Okay, number 32. So look, it's kind of blurry in the paper, so I'm going to show you the one that with pictures color. So you see these two, this angle right here is congruent to that angle, and this angle right here is congruent to that angle, like they're opposite angles congruence. And they're giving you that these two sides is congruent. So look, so you see how rectangle have all four, like all four sides equal to 90 degrees, where this side is congruent to that and this angle. Like this angle is congruent to that angle, congruent to this angle, and congruent to that angle. But this picture, it shows only the opposite is congruent. So rectangle is out. Look at rhombus. You see how this angle right here is congruent to the opposite, but not the other two angles. Meanwhile, this angle is congruent to that angle, but not the other two. That makes sense. It would be rhombus. And the square are 90 degrees out, like this angle is 90 degrees, this 90, 90, and 90, which all four is congruent. But that's not what the picture is for. It's about. So so the answer would be rhombus. And then lastly, number 33, I got rectangle because, so look at this image. They give you the opposite sides is congruent and the other opposite side is congruent, but they all four isn't congruent, right? This one is only congruent to what it's opposite with, and this side is only congruent with what it's opposite with, not the other two. And they give you the hint is that one of the angle is 90 degrees, which all four of them is 90 degrees. So look at this rectangle right here. So first we have a 90 degree on the side. Okay, so all four are 90 degrees, and this only like see diagonals are congruent. So this one is opposite with this one, so this is congruent to this, and this is congruent to this, but they're not all four congruent. So which makes sense for it to be rectangle. And look at rhombus. Rhombus, it has the opposite sides, opposite angles is congruent, but this has a 90 degree on the angle, which means all angle has to be 90 degrees, and that's not applied to what rhombus has. And for the square has 90 degrees for all angles, but square also has all side congruent, which the image only show what opposite side is congruent, but not all four sides congruent, which makes sense it is a rectangle. Number 51, sorry. The verticals of parallelogram are PQRS. Which of the following term applies to the parallelogram? Okay, so they give you the coordinates, and they're asking whether it's a square, rectangle, or a rhombus. And let me draw out the shape, okay? So let's draw out a parallelogram first. Alright, now we have P, Q, R, S. Okay, let's go clockwise. So P, Q, R, S, and not P, Q, or S, but it's PQ or S clockwise. Okay, and now we're gonna, okay, so look, we're gonna find the distance between of these. Okay, the distance of all these. What we're gonna do is that we're gonna use a distance formula where we have two coordinates and we put that in the distance formula to show what is the actual distance. So first I'm gonna go from P to Q, which, here, let me write down the distance formula up here. So it'll be x2 subtracts x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So that's the distance formula, and from P to Q. So P first. Okay, I'm a P and then Q. So square root. So x2, which is from the Q, so 5 minus x1 from the P, so -1, close, and then square plus y2 is 5, subtracts 7, close, and then square, and I got, sorry, I had to pause a bit. But okay, so I did plug it in to find PQ. Oh, sorry, I was checking myself, so I had to pause. But so let's do PQ again. So P, so -1, -1 subtracts 5 square plus 7 subtracts 5 square, and I will get 6.33. Okay, so from P to Q I got the distance is 6.3. So let me put down 6.3, and I'm gonna do the rest. Okay, so you're just gonna apply the same thing to do the rest. Okay, so I did and apply the everything else, and I got 6.3 for all of them. So now I know that all of the sides is congruent, right? Okay, now but look, so let's look at this. So you see how it applies to all three, because if it's all are congruent, it will also apply to rhombus, apply to square, and also apply to rectangle if this number is congruent with that, the same number with that, which means it will be all congruent, right? So it can be rectangle too. So we're gonna look ahead and see what other we can check out. Okay, so I'm gonna have like a diagonal line, and what I would do is I will use distance formula to figure out this right here. I mean, not distance formula, I meant Pythagorean theorem, where a square plus b square equals c square. So 6.3 square plus 6.3 square equals 79.38, and the square root of that number, it will be 8.9. And let me do the other one to see what it equal to. So it also equal to 8.9. So which is it equal to, like, it is all of those of the above, since you see how all of them has congruent side and congruent side and congruent side. So which means E, because it applies all of it. Okay, number 52, the diagonals of rhombus ABCD or A and C, AC and BD, which is the following not necessarily true. So we're looking for the wrong answer one here. So I draw out my rhombus right here. I have A, B, C, D, and AC is a diagonals, and then BD is a diagonals. Okay, so look, if you have opened your notes, you will know that rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides, so all 4 congruents, and the diagonals are perpendicular. Each diagonal bisects pair of opposite angle. Okay, so let's look at F. AC perpendicular to BD. That'd be wrong because, I mean, it would be the right answer, but that's not what we're looking for. See, the diagonals are perpendicular, so they are perpendicular to each other. So yes, that is right, but that's not the answer. AC is congruent to BD. That is wrong because they're saying that they are perpendicular. They only say they're bisect one another, but they don't say they're congruent, right? It doesn't necessarily mean they're congruent. So no. And then AC and BD bisect each other. That is true because they go across each other at the midpoint, so which means they are bisecting each other. And then AC bisects angle A. So AC bisects angle A. That's true because rhombus, you see how this angle, this line right here, the diagonals bisects R into half congruents, and it also bisects O into both congruent angle, which J is right. So the wrong answer will be G. Okay, a supermarket sells trays of vegetable in the shapes of rhombus. The diagonals of the tray form 4 compartments of the vegetable as shown. Given that measure of angle AFG is equal to 130, so EFG is 130. What is the measure of HGJ? Okay, so we're looking for this little angle right here, and they gave us the whole thing. So what I did was that I have 130. I divided it to half because it's a rhombus, so we have both congruents. So 130 divided by 2 equals 65. So this little over here is 65, and a rhombus has a 90-degree vertex, so it will be 90 degrees right here. This angle will be 90 degrees. And so what I did was that I would go 180 subtract 90 and then subtract 65 to find the other side, which is 25. And that is how I got my answer of HGJ here, sorry, HGJ. So which is 25. But they're asking for this one right here. It's the same thing, 25. Next to this is also 25. So it would be D. Okay, QRST is a parallelogram and x equal 10. What is measure of angle QRS? QRS. Okay, so x equal to 10. So I'm gonna use 8 times 10 equal to 80, and then 4 times 10 to equal to 40. So this angle will be 40, this angle will be 80. They're asking for a measure of QRS, so this angle right here. Okay, since we have this one, right, it's a parallelogram. Again, this is not a rhombus. Pay close, please pay close attention to what shape they're giving you, because each shape has different things that applies to it, and they're not all the same. So parallelograms are these right here. Okay, so this is not equal to 90, so we can't assume that, right? But you can tell that this one is congruent to that because it's consecutive angles. No, alternate interior, sorry. So they're both alternate interior, so 40 and 40 right here, and 80 and 80 over there. So we have 80 and 40, and they're asking for Q or S, this angle here. And what I did is that I 180 subtracts 80 and then subtracts 40 will be 60. So the answer will be 60. If I explain too fast, I'm sorry. You can slow down the video or ask me and I'll explain it again.